I think that the viewers knew that I was real.
Yeah.
And the producers said that, they said, everyone says you're the realest housewife. But inside I was dying. And I
Mm.
thought I owed it to the audience to be myself because I was 100% myself behind the scenes with my ex.
Welcome back to Beyond the Bar podcast. I'm your host, Anissa Toba. Wow. Today I'm sitting with someone everybody thinks they know. Fashion, fashion designer, entrepreneur, philanthropist, performer, and yes, one of the most iconic faces from the Real Housewives of New York City. She's lived a life most people read about, from rubbing elbows with royals and rock stars to rebuilding, reinventing, and always keeping it funny. Sonja Morgan, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Denisa. I'm so pleased to be here. I've been very impressed with your show and the way you support other people. You're very uplifting and you see beyond the facade, the figurehead that we have. You see beyond that.
Yeah, I'm not, we met just briefly, just sort of getting set up here. And, that's one thing is I've never been impressed, probably just like you, with, the superficial stuff and the titles. And it's so easy to talk about what you do, but it's kind of interesting when you have a conversation about who you really are. So I am so glad you're here. I mean, you've lived a life that's, glamorous, wild, real, and grounded all at once. So I want to skip the headlines and I want to start with a real you. So tell me a story.
Well, the thing is, I've always been the class clown. I've always been the one in the back of class talking too much. I really believe in astrology, though many don't. I do love it. So I'm a Sagittarius, which is fire. I'm sure you've seen that. Foot and mouth disease, they call it, what I have. And then I am Gemini rising, which is a communicator. And my Pisces moon is why I'm such a giver as far as my philanthropy and the underdog. So I had to cut off my philanthropy in my 20s down to the youth because I feel they have the most to gain with a little support. Animals because they're also so vulnerable and they give back so much. Artists and LGBTQ. And not necessarily in that order. I guess I spent a little more time with the LGBTQ and the youth than anything because I feel they need my help.
There's so many parts to you. And, I'm curious, going back, what were you like growing up? What parts of that girl are still very Sonia today?
Well, I've always been an entertainer. Uh, Definitely, I like to make people happy. I was the oldest of four children. So I would entertain the kids, keep them busy, until my mom would come home from work. I would make the dinner. So I've always been the one to, hostess with the mostest. I had, from a young age. And then when I spent time modeling in Italy and France, I, I really learned how to cook. And I always tell young people if you want to get somewhere, travel. Too many people in the United States, I would say 80% is the last number, don't have passports. And I really think it's important if you can to get a passport, get a Eurail pass. I would stay in hostels. They're called hostels because you would clean toilets, make beds. It was a trade out. And let me tell you, I've been trading out my whole life, right? But you do learn about other cultures. You become more tolerant. And that was important for me growing up.
I love that. I was actually born and raised in Prague, Czech Republic, and I came to the States when I was very young. I was a young teenager on my own, and sort of, just sort of found the journey. And you're so that resonates with me. It's once you set a foot outside of your bubble, you sort of have this broadened perspective. I mean, you see things differently. It doesn't happen, it doesn't happen, by just being afraid to explore travel. And yeah. Wow. How old were you when you started traveling?
I guess I was probably, I want to say 17 years old. I graduated high school early. I've always been a traveler at heart. Even when I lived at home upstate New York, I would go to Saratoga to the races. And I would see women like you, like totally put together, every hair in place. I've never been that person, but I do love fashion. And I saw the women dressed to the nines and the men in their wonderful linen suits. And then, of course, all the Saudis with their dress, what they wear, uh, and um, and the horses, which I love as a Sagittarius. I'm half horse, half man. And yeah, that's what really got my eyes going. That's what really opened my eyes, is seeing another. I had a look, seeing another lifestyle outside of my hometown. And then I knew I had to go to New York City with my grandmother, and we would go every year for Christmas. And then I knew I wanted to go to fashion school, and I went to FIT. I mean, that gave me the gumption. It gave me
Mm.
the confidence when I saw the possibilities.
And what happened after that?
Well, when I got to school, I didn't win the lottery, so I was kicked out of the dorm like everyone is if you don't win the lottery. And I moved in with 3 gay men in a basement apartment, but we had a fabulous backyard. We were fabulous. They gave me so much self-esteem. They painted my nails, they cut my hair, they did my makeup, and then they put me in fashion shows. And that's when I knew I could go off to Italy and France and start modeling. Even though I already knew I loved it over there, I had not modeled before.
That's did you feel independent, or what did you learn about yourself? Because that's a lot.
Well, first thing you do is ditch the luggage. You really are on your own. And I put everything down to one bag on my shoulders. And you learn to travel light, and you really have to look out for yourself. Um, I wouldn't say I ever felt like I was in danger. Never. I
Mm.
found the Europeans very welcoming. They like for you to learn their language, and I enjoy the different foods and the culture. When I go someplace, I don't go. Even to this day, I will not go as a tourist. I need to be with people I know or want to get to know and see how they live.
What's your favorite, what's your favorite place that you've traveled to, or and you like to return to?
Well, I would say Italy as a country, and then Paris, France. And I'm a huge Francophile. In fact, JP Morgan's daughter, Anne Morgan, Anne with an E, I have to say, Sonia with a sexy J. Um, she donated her chateau to France after the war, after all the bombings from the Germans. And she brought all her wealthy girlfriends over there to drive the ambulances. So now we have a French American museum outside Paris. It's the only one in the world. I'm on the board for, I guess, 28 years. And now my daughter is a young fellow. And anything I can do for France, my daughter's godmother's French. I'm the godmother to her son. So I did have a house in France. And then after my husband had a car accident and he wasn't himself anymore, he had a brain trauma. Um, that's when I really needed to buckle down and get involved with the family charities and things, because I was going to be raising Quincy Adams Morgan on my own. I mean, that is a lot without your best friend and husband. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of chaos, a lot of tough stuff in the past that you had to overcome. I mean, how did you get through moments like that?
I think having an independent mother, she wasn't a shut up, put up type in her relationships with men. She did have 4 children, but in the 60s, it was kind of embarrassing to be divorced. And I know she was divorced from my dad. And then she married a man who she had 3 more children with. And they're my half siblings, but I feel so close to them, whether we're in the same town or not. I can always depend on them. because our mother was so independent, we could depend on her. And I think that's how we learned to put family first and to value the work ethic and not to shut up and put up. All my years dating, I can tell you, men love a chase. They like a challenge, so it's always worked out for me. I'm just saying, if you are that woman, I feel bad. You need to really get some self-esteem, get something about yourself that you feel is unique and be yourself. So you will attract a man that is attracted to that, exactly who you are, not what they want you to portray. I get very, very offended if someone calls me a trophy wife. I was not arm candy. It really freaks me out. I was a full-on partner. And my ex was not going to marry me if I wasn't independent. I mean, I had dollars in the bank and I was supporting myself. I had a dog. I had monogram towels with my maiden name. I mean, every signal to him was she doesn't need me to take care of her in that way financially. She wants me because she loves me.
Is that how you raised your daughter?
Very humble.
Hmm.
She actually has a wonderful boyfriend right now, and they've been together almost 5 years. She's always had a boyfriend. She would say, "Mom, I'm going to take a break from men. Well, boys, she was so young. She always had a boyfriend, and her friends were like, not with a boyfriend. I always felt bad for the other parents because one thing you can do when your daughter has a boyfriend is you can kind of relax. You know what I mean? It's much more controlled,
Yeah.
stable. So yeah, she would say that for a year, two. She'd be with a guy for a year, 2 years, and say, "I'm going to take a break," and then a month later, she'd have a boyfriend.
Oh my gosh, yeah, it's you know what, this whole notion about that you're completing somebody, that's bullshit. I don't believe in that either. And that's how I raised my girl too, is you don't complete anybody, you're complete as you are. You can compliment somebody and never, ever, ever in any instance, man, and I tell women all around, man should be your financial plan. So at any given time, just being able to just stand on your own and just there's so many identities that we have. And I think it's so important that is so wonderful that you had mom like that that sort of etched that in you. And wow, what
Well, I'm just hoping when my daughter does marry, I wouldn't be divorced from my husband had he not had the car accident. I
mm,
wouldn't have been on reality TV had he not done that. So, had that happened to him, it was out of our control. So I hope my daughter, when she does get married, it's long lasting. But I do tell all the young girls, just realize if you get divorced, you are responsible for the children financially, emotionally, every way you look at it, because not only are they a part of our body, which is a little different from their dads, and their dads will always be their dads. They're part of their self-esteem is
yeah,
the dad. But I was married to a very wealthy man, right? From a very, very old family in the States, as close as you can get to royalty. One side was JPM. The other side of the family was John Adams and John Quincy Adams. That's a lot.
yeah,
So yeah, you
that's
have
a
to be
heavy weight.
strong. And I didn't get any money because of his illness. People took advantage.
Mm,
Um, I just moved on. You just keep going. You be independent. You say, I'm not going to stay in the past. I'm not going to go to court asking for money. I'm not going to have to answer to my ex who isn't even really the same person I married anymore. I need to do what I need for my daughter, number one. And the family wanted the same. The family said, you need to move on. You have to take care of Quincy. And I did that, and I'm very proud of it. She graduated summa cum laude from
wow.
UPenn. She didn't go to Harvard. She didn't go to, all the Morgans went to Harvard. My ex-husband went to Yale. And I was very proud of the choices she made to be herself. She lives in California.
You raised her well. I mean, it sound like all this time that you sort of walked your own path, and what cannot be easy with your past and being constantly in tabloids. People really do not know who you are on the inside, and then you being on the reality show, The Housewife of New York City, what would you feel is that one thing that was misunderstood the most about you?
It's interesting you say that because even when I was married, I kept my name Sonja Tremont Morgan because you can very quickly become Mrs. Morgan, and that's it. So you don't show your inside. You don't show your vulnerability. You have to be very strong, not only with your partner, but the people who are sucking up around them.
Yeah.
When I got on reality TV, it was some of the same memories of growing up where people wanted my connections and, they wanted to meet the designers and the movie producers and all of that that happens when you're in that world. Then the show, it was some of the same. I was in a fishbowl where they thought, oh, she married this older guy for the money. She doesn't have her daughter on because the husband won't allow it. He wasn't making any decisions at that point. They don't know me. They don't know how I can turn the other cheek. I don't say a lot, but inside I'm hurting and I know I can't exploit the family. I'm not going to start blurting out excuses. We never explain, never complain. And I think that's why I could stay on the show. I think that the viewers knew that I was real.
Yeah.
And the producers said that, they said everyone says you're the realest housewife. But inside I was dying. And I
Mm.
thought I owed it to the audience to be myself because I was 100% myself behind the scenes with my ex. 100. I mean, we'd be in Sancho Pay. We'd be in Sancho Pay and he'd be holding the table under the tablecloth so I could dance on the table with my friends. There was, I didn't have to, I could never marry Prince Albert. I couldn't marry Tony O'Reilly Jr. I couldn't marry a lot of these people that forget an ambassador because I just couldn't keep that act up all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. You were real. You were authentic. Um, I mean, that is courageous. I'm curious, what triggers you? What's your pet peeve about people?
Lies. Anybody
Mm.
tells, they say something that's not true, or they exploit me by
Mm.
saying something that's not true, or even people who just exploit me on an everyday basis. I can tell you some of the people that come up to me, I never say fans, first of all. I always say my supporters, my contemporaries. But a few people every once in a while will come up and say, I don't want a picture. I just want to tell you how much you mean to me and what you got me through and how I've been inspired by you. And that means so much more than someone wanting a picture because the connotation of a photo is you want my followers, you want people to see you met me. I mean, even on these dating apps, if I see a guy that posts a picture of him with someone famous, I don't know what's worse, the fish picture, the camera in the mirror with their
Yeah.
top off,
Oh God. Yeah.
or the picture with someone famous. If
Yeah.
those are your three best things, you're not for me.
Yeah.
I need someone who's smart, elegant. They don't have to light up the room when I walk in. I want to be seen as a couple that stands out, like, oh, they're interesting. I don't want to be like, oh, she's on TV.
Yeah.
And
When you're
America is obsessed.
Yes.
America is obsessed with fame. I had one guy come up to me and he goes, my wife says you're famous. Can I get a picture? I said, no. He didn't even know who I was. I was like, oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh.
Really, really makes you feel bad.
Yeah. Wow. What would you say when you meet a guy, you met a guy in the past, you went on a date, what's your favorite question to ask to really to get to, what is it that you're looking for that person to start revealing themselves, so to speak? Um,
Well, if they know who I am, it's always an uphill battle because most guys, I want a discreet man who has a private life, as I had. And they might think that I'm very public. So the first thing I ask is, do you have a private life? Do you have your own lifestyle? Do you have a stable life? Do you own your own homes? Do you own your own car? I'm not looking for anyone that needs me to sell a bottle of wine or to do surgery or whatever. I want someone that just wants to be with me, 100% who I am. And if I can be introduced if I can be introduced to someone who knows me for 30 years,
Mhm.
or longer. I was honored for my philanthropy when I was 21 years old as a singular sensation as a young girl with 1,800 people there at the Waldorf Astoria. I want those friends who remember me and know why I married into the Morgan family and what my qualities were. And yeah, I'm great on TV. I make great TV because they say, I looked it up on Chat GPTQ, I said, or whatever it's called. I said, why is Sonia adored by her fans? And they said, great lifestyle, very independent, entrepreneurial, uh, very elegant, but chaos. Which is why my man, I say to them, I hope you're a rock. I hope you're solid and you're not jealous. I need a man that I can come back to the couch. I sit down, my purse is still there, and I don't go in his pocket when I take his suits to the dry cleaners full of other people's numbers. You know, my
Yeah.
husband would meet a girl at Sank on Sank and they know who they are. They would give the card in front of me. He would just rip it up and throw it on the. I mean, he's not coming to pay for a $25,000 lunch because he wants to be pitched on a deal. Just enjoy your lunch.
Yeah.
Let's be real. Show
Yeah.
me I'm a real person. I'm not just a Morgan. I'm not just money bags. I'm not a bank.
Yeah.
You know, everybody's always asking, and my ex would always say to me, people know more about the Morgans than I do. That's strange.
How do you stay grounded?
My charities, my traveling to see other countries that are not as lucky as us. People do not realize how safe and how lucky they are. I have friends that said, oh, I don't want to go to Paris because they're bombing there. I'm like, they're bombing right here. It's been that way since the 80s. Nothing's changed. So I'm like, they don't understand. My daughter was 14 years old getting off a yacht in Copenhagen and then taking a smaller flight to Tunisia and then taking another flight to get
Wow.
to Saint Tropez. And she knows that, it's not any different. It's you have to be on your toes everywhere.
Mhm.
And we're very lucky in this country, very lucky, and so many people don't know that because they haven't really lived it. But yeah, that's a big important thing.
Mm.
I know you travel, you're tolerant of other people's customs and
Oh,
and
yeah.
backgrounds, and you see beyond the facade, beyond the fame, and that's what really attracts people who have all that.
Yeah, I think many people are just they're hiding, they're hiding themselves, and it's too bad, and they're afraid to be seen. And you said something, really, really, profound. Is you want to interact with somebody who can really see you and love you and like you for who you are. And that's what it is taking that mask off immediately. I say that we're this imperfectly perfect mess, and we're supposed to be. That's I think what vulnerability is just to reveal the true you. So I really I love that. I love what you stand for. And what uh what is it
Well,
what
that's the thing. Young girls come to my Sonia in Your City tour. I'm on tour, going to many cities doing improv. I don't have the script. I don't have the band anymore. I don't have the comic that the stand up that opens the show. It's just me now because I'm starting to call myself Mama Sonj because these girls are asking me, what is it about men? How do you meet them? What do they want? First of all, men just want to be seen,
Yeah.
also listen to. Sometimes we feel as women we have to entertain and look gorgeous and don't you love my shoes and my dress, and they don't care if you wear the same dress every time. Just make sure you have very good quality, be the princess that you want to be treated as, and do have pride in your looks, but definitely men want to be seen for themselves and supported. um, be in touch. Sensuality is very important. And yeah, that's what's going on with this Sonia in Your City. And the older women, they come with their daughters, they come with their gay, children, and they're like, "Mom, you can't just stay home all the time. You need to get out. You need to be active." If you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And it's so true. I say that it's not a walk of shame. It's a lap of victory at this point. I'm just trying to find someone over 28 years old. Now at this point, I really want someone, 60 and up. They can
Yeah.
be 40, 50 years old, but they need to have children. They need to have experienced marriage. They need to be worldly. I mean, I'm not interested in a guy that's lived in a bubble, never been married, doesn't have children. Those are all red flags for me. And another thing that's a red flag, and I tell girls all the time, if they don't have a spiritual side to them, if
Mm.
they don't have a religion, if the red flags are when they're atheists or whatever, I don't understand. Politics, I don't get into it. I'm such a bleeding heart that, if you're liberal, we're cool. I'm also such a hard worker and a capitalist in the way that I work and self sufficient that if you're a Republican, let's just say if you wear those hats, I don't wear either hat. I vote on the causes, the
Mm.
issues,
I
and
love
I
that.
have a way of seeing them. I don't
Love
get
that.
caught up in the rat race. No
Yeah.
one's going to tell me what I'm voting for. No one's
Yeah.
going to tell me I'm Republican. They're not going to tell me I'm a liberal. No way. No way.
Yeah, and I mean, I mean, it reflects even your life philosophy not to be shoved in a box because we're not meant to be shoved in a box. And I love what you said. That's actually resonates. I'm the same way. Like, I'm not interested in one person or label that's supposed to represent everything else. No, bullshit. Don't stand for it either. Just, I love that. Yeah, it's the whole breadth of things. What makes you really, really laugh? I know you make people laugh. What makes you really laugh?
There is a video out there right now that was made by Sonja by Nat, one of my followers and supporters. She comes to a lot of my Sonia in Your City shows. Um, Lesbian. We're on a lesbian chat together with all her lesbian girlfriends. I give them the strength to be themselves. But
Mm.
what makes me laugh, she made the video. It's all cuts of me just laughing. And I have a very real, cheeky laugh. I just let it all out. So my belly laughs come from some of the most simple things, misunderstanding a word. I notice at my shows, people like to talk about very, very like juvenile things. The words poop, fart, sex, all of it. They just love it.
Yeah.
And I noticed across the board, by the way, on Bravo TV and NBC and some of the commercials I've made, they love it. It's the way you say gross, or or I'm the store that or if you say I'm the straw that stirs the drink. I don't stir the pot. It's the way you say it. It's like,
Yeah.
what are you doing here without Dorinda? And
Mm.
I'm no one's arm candy. It's just the way you say it. So I noticed the show. It's not really what you're saying. And I learned this. I was dating Richard Lewis. He's a comedian, and also, who else told me that? Owen Wilson. It's very improv. You have to feel the room, and I do feel the room, and I know what's going to make them giggle. I get on that
Mm.
same plane.
You're quick. You pick up people's energy.
I do. And
Yeah.
that's why I can't go on the subway. And that's why when I do my shows, when I'm on the subway, I feel everything. I see these people and I'm just like, oh my gosh, they're doing this 5 days a week. And you can just see so many people up close. When I do my show, I can spot people in the audience. I turn up the lights when they ask questions. It kills me. So as joyful as it can be, and people are shaking and they're crying, and I'm signing their butts with Sharpies. Okay, as great as that is, I need 2 days off after that. I just did BravoCon in Vegas. I just did Upwell in Vegas. Both of those audience were over 5,000 people. When I come back, just the flying, I don't know about you. I could get jet lag New York to Florida at this age. But I need 2 days in bed. They say dead in bed.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the way I am.
Would you say I mean, you appear to be extroverted, but do you really need to recharge quite a bit after a while? Would you say you're extrovert, introvert, somewhere in between?
I can't believe that. I am an extroverted introvert,
Yeah.
meaning I will entertain people. I will make them laugh because I can feel their pain and I want them to be happy. And I won't tell them anything that's going on wrong with me. I will not call my mother or my co stars or anyone unless I have something good to tell them that also makes them feel good, that
Mhm.
we're going places. I'm not going to do it. So That's my, extroverted part. The introverted is I give my energy as an empath. It took me a while to figure it out. Andy Cohen's makeup artist figured it out. She said, because she spent hours with me doing my makeup, we became friends. And she told me that. And I'm like, now I get it. I don't get energy from people. People inadvertently take my energy. They
Yeah.
don't know that.
Mm.
They say suck the air out of the room. I can suck the air out of a room too. It's a different feeling when they need your love and care and positivity and advice, where another type of entertainer just entertains and it's scripted and you're enjoying it and it
Mm.
makes you feel good because it's bam, lights, bling, dresses, singing, dancing. There's those kind of entertainings, acting, all of that is, you know, it's an art, but mine is a little bit more less of an art, more of a feeling.
So how do you reset? What do you need for your soul to
Well,
reach?
this place in Palm Beach, first of all, I can stay here 10 days. In the townhouse, I wouldn't leave for weeks because I had my own backyard and my balcony and a
Mm.
lot of people coming to me and lots to do and entertaining. I need to stay at home and just regenerate and rest. For all the women out there and men, of course, you need to get your rest. Even if you're burning, the candle at both ends, and at night you're up shopping online for your kids' uniform, or whatever you're doing at night because the family keeps you busy and you're nurturing your family all day. You need to have your rest. I don't care. Do not feel guilty if you sleep and have a nap during the day. I would never do it. I had a swimming pool. I lived on a private island, private planes, the yacht. I never sat down. My work ethic from my mother was go, go, go. Now at this age, I realize stop and take care of yourself. Do the yoga, go to church, go to temple, whatever, right? um, Light your candle, take a bath, put the salt, the oils, everything that's going to help you with your endorphins. Have sex, have relationships. I started to hide out when I was doing the show, and my therapist was saying, and I Googled it, having relationships, real relationships, whether it's one or two or three. And if you have more than that, that's not what I'm talking about. The person you can call at 5 in the morning
Mm.
with snot coming out of your nose, crying. That will keep you alive longer.
Mm.
It adds years to your life. Having relationships, having a connection with, a religion or a group, a community, sleep, and of course, eating well. So I can eat fried food, I can drink, I can do all those things when I'm filming Ultimate Girls Trip or when I'm filming Real Housewives or Crappy Lake. I don't think there was a lot of healthy food. I mean, I went to Dairy Queen in Benton, Illinois, and it was 90 degrees and higher every day. But when my days were off, I was in my room. I had a blender, I was doing smoothies, and no one could knock on my door. I would have a fit. And I had one day off a week. So no, 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 no. I rested.
So if you were to write a play where you are the main character, what what would be the plot? Well, who would you play? You could write your own story.
I don't know. I have I have a few people that I really respect. Julia Childs, for instance, was totally herself.
Mm.
And she used her talent to be independent. She married an ambassador, and she wasn't the prettiest girl in the room, but she did what she could with her looks, which is why I really admire European women. They don't have the all-American face. They have character, they have a nose, they have a history, and they're proud of it. So yeah, Julia Childs. And then uh what's her name? She was married to the King of England, and he stuttered, the king's
Oh,
speech. You know her name. Madonna did a movie about her too. So she was dancing with,
yes.
you know, she was dancing with the Can Girl. She could make a mean martini. She dressed completely different from other women. She was ahead of her time, very much like Chanel. She invented herself, and she used the way she portrayed herself in her fashion, but not just because she didn't wear fashion. She wore her look. And
Yes,
we bought
yes,
Chanel's look. It
yes.
wasn't fashion, it was her style with a twist to it. And my fashion collection is also, my look. Leopard is my neutral. I love a good wrap dress, good fabric. I wore this on the show when I had Telfar on. I was promoting him. I wasn't being paid. I was supporting him as an artist and LGBTQ youth. And he's doing very well now. So yeah, I do look up to Chanel. I do look up to this woman that was married to the King of England. He gave up his kingship. He just gave it up. He wanted to be with her. It begins with a W.
Oh my gosh.
Will,
I have seen the movie
Winifred
and I
Wilson. You could just see her. She's so thin, very controlled. Chanel was very thin, very controlled, and then that's what they wanted to portray. Um, who else would be someone I really look at? I have to say Madonna. I mean, she's sharp as a tack. She
mhm,
does what she wants. She reinvents herself continuously. And from what I can tell, she's a great mom.
yeah,
Ivana Trump, another person that was totally herself. She came here like yourself. She came from Czechoslovakia.
yeah,
She was a skier. She had religion. And she was not a shut up, put up woman, as we see once she found out that Donald was cheating. It was
yeah,
over.
yeah,
And she continued to be independent. She made a name for herself. She always dressed with her own style, not fashion, not trendy. I always remember I want to be Ivana because she would do the updo, and I always do a smoky eye updo Stad. Now she was some Maritz, but I was always Stad. So yeah, those kind of women are the women, and she was a great mom. Great mom. I had lunch with her children several times with her. Just a wonderful mom, a supportive wife, a partner, like so many others that I've mentioned. Yeah, that's what
that's amazing.
I think that's what I should play in the movie, something like
Yeah.
that. Maybe Mama
Well,
Songe, share a little advice, how to marry into old money, how to even understand it, how to see the world and understand other cultures, how to be a good mom, how to stay true to yourself, to dress your part and influence people by being yourself.
yeah,
They
yeah,
call that today like waving your freak flag, because a lot of people today, young people, have FOMO. They need to do what everyone else is doing. They're following the herd, whether it's fashion or politics. Young people do get inspired by someone who can say, this is the way it is. I lived it. And I'm still standing
yeah.
after all these years. I don't know how to sing, but I do know how to tell a good joke.
Elton John. No, I love your energy. And so when you replay this, that's your essence. Everything that you just rattled off, that is your essence, Sonia. And you have so much in you. This is so inspiring. What I hope you'll come back again. We can talk life and so many things. We're just getting started, but what would be like your parting thoughts? What would be the message that you would like to send out to whoever?
Well, first of all, I'm very happy you found me. You reached out. You were professional. You're a great communicator and you support others. You lift people up. You're a great mom and a grandmother. I'm not
Yeah.
going to say I'm jealous because I am not ready. Okay. I'm just not ready.
I wasn't either.
I guess my parting words are, if I can do it, you can do it.
Mm, that is so powerful. Yeah. And just be true to yourself. Don't be afraid. Like really, really, really just stay true to yourself. You really, really have to. You are so magnetic, hilarious, and you really are truly one of a kind. And thank you so much, for taking the time and just really sharing the real you, sharing yourself.
Thank
And
you
thank you. And to
for
all of our
bringing it
listeners,
out of so
yes,
many people.
yes.
You have great interviews. People should tune into some of your other interviews where you bring that other side out because you're
Thank
not
you.
impressed with things.
No, 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 not at all. Not at all. Yeah. No, I like to go on there, which is, what makes me different, and just to really see people for who they are, and it's beautiful. It's magical when it happened. I call it sort of, raising the humanness. I dedicated this podcast to my son who passed away 4 years ago. That's my granddaughter is his daughter. And he saw the light in every human being regardless. And so I wanted to raise that, and let that come to the light. So I really appreciate that. And I tell
Well, your
people,
13-year-old needs that. At 13, they're saying, the other girls do this. The
uh-huh,
other girls are having sex. The other girls are drinking. The other girl, they grew up in Southampton. I was in Telluride, Mom. I said, you have to understand. And a lot of my gay friends would come around, like my team, my hairstylist, and my clothing stylist, and marketing people, and makeup people. All of those people who are artists would be at dinner with my daughter every night. We had a chosen family of people she could depend on, and they said, Quincy, years from now, you'll be the it girl because you didn't do those things.
hmm,
You'll be fresh. People will be like, oh, she didn't do this, she didn't do that, she didn't burn a bridge. That's what they love. We take her boyfriend for Christmas or Thanksgiving to Nashville on the farm, and he loves it. And he's Beverly Hills. You know what I'm saying? He's not,
oh yeah,
he, he's
yeah,
more down to earth than your stereotypical Beverly Hills guy. Trust me. He's not
yeah.
like my best friend, Josh Flagg. He's not like that. But anyhow, he finds it refreshing that she comes from a family that has chickens and horses and cows. He loves it.
He's real.
So be yourself.
Yeah, yeah. No,
And like
wonderful.
you, be a mentor. Because you've seen the world. You've already raised a son. You have a 13-year-old granddaughter. You should share your wisdom. Others should do as you do. Share the wisdom.
You're so kind.
Thank
You're
you.
so kind.
You
Thank you.
are too.
Thank you so
So
much. And, to everybody who's tuning in, until next time, stay curious and stay inspired.
perfecto. Perfect. So great.